Hey there, welcome to the Jeff and Heidi Show, where you're going to have the opportunity to listen to and learn from everyday entrepreneurs. All right, welcome to the Jeff and Heidi Show. I'm Jeff Heggie, and I'm with my co-host Heidi Anderson of ECI Secure Pay. Thank you for being with us, and I'm excited to have Tami Matheny with us today. Tami is an author. She's a coach. She's got an incredible background. We've had the opportunity to get to know each other over the last little while, and I guess to add to being such an incredible coach and author and all the things that she does, she's an incredible networker and has introduced me to some of the most amazing people. So Tami, if you don't mind, just give a little bit of introduction of yourself and tell our audience about yourself.
All right. Well, first of all, Heidi and Jeff, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to spending this time with you guys. But I am a mental game coach. I tell everyone I have the best job in America. I get to work with athletes, coaches, parents, administrators on just helping basically anything not related to the physical, technical, tactical part of their sport. And so I think it's great. You know, people ask, well, what does that mean you do? And I get to watch athletic events for my job, basically, and share what I find with athletes that I work with. What that means is I just try to help people build and maintain their confidence, work on overcoming adversity, become better leaders, become more united with their teammates. So that's a lot of the things that, I spend time the skills working on. I played basketball and tennis in college myself and know that a lot of my success was from physically being in shape and mentally being in shape. I wasn't the strongest, quickest, most athletic, but I did have success based on the mental skills. So I am a firm believer in it, and I still try to practice what I preach every day.
Excellent. Well, I'm excited to get into this more and talk about some of the things that I know you teach and some of the things actually that you teach that I've recently used with my own basketball team and talking about those things. So yeah, you've got a great story and we just appreciate you being here with us. So first of all, the first thing I want to talk a little bit about is you've got a book, Confident Athlete. I think the title is great because it's one of the things that all athletes strive for and all athletes at times struggle with. So tell us a little bit about the book and as well as what athletes need to do. And I guess to take a sidestep on that, one of the things I always talk about is there's such a correlation between athletics, business, life, everything. And so when we talk about these concepts, just because we're talking about confident athlete doesn't mean if you're an entrepreneur, this doesn't apply to exactly what you're doing. So just share some thoughts with that.
I'm glad you made that comment because, the book is called The Confident Athlete, but you could take every scenario, every piece of advice and apply it to whatever area in your life. I just use athletics as kind of the vehicle to get the message across and use athletic examples. So I believe confidence encompasses all of us and everything we do, including our relationships. But the book is about, it doesn't share my journey, but as I struggled with what I call being on the confidence roller coaster, it shares what I learned to get off of that roller coaster so that I could own my own confidence. And through my research, through watching and observing what the best do, I was able to find 4 things that have helped me and since been able to help others that if we work at daily and are consistent with, then we're going to have that steady level of confidence that can get us through the ups and downs. I think it's easy for all of us to be confident when everything's going well. But it's when you're faced with challenges, can you still be confident in the face of that loss, in the face of that adversity? So the first one is your self-talk, just all of those thoughts that you have every day. And I'm not one of these that think you should tell yourself everything's great, everything's positive. I have what I call P squared, positive or productive. And if we could really rewire our brains to think positive or productive thoughts, then we're going to be more successful, happier, have more confidence. Our brain is kind of wired to a negative basis. We tend to latch on to negative comments, negative thoughts more than we do positive. So I think it's taking the time, using some exercises that I share or that others out there have to rewire that brain to think more positively and productively. Second step, which I call the teammate of self-talk, is your body language. And the two of them work hand in hand. And if you improve your body language, it's going to help improve your self-talk. Your self-talk can change your body language. So I think when you put the two of them together, there's a lot of strength and power that can come from that. The third one, I call it see it, be it. And that's, what do you visualize? What do you see? And one of the first things I have athletes do is to describe their confident self. When they are at their height of confidence, what does it look like? And I want that written down so they can spend time, close it, read it, close their eyes, and actually see this person. So we're planting those seeds to get that person out of them. It's in them. We just need to bring it out of them. And then the fourth part's preparation. I mean, it's hard to be confident when you haven't put in the work. But that goes beyond the physical part. That's also putting in the work mentally and taking care of your body. It seems simple, but when you take care of your body, rest, fuel, hydrate, then it already gives you a little bit of confidence there that you can overcome things. So that's in a nutshell the 4 steps.
Now, when you were a college athlete, were you studying psychology in college or something? What made you, I guess, learn these principles and pull them into your own mind and your own self and your own practice so that you could be a better athlete?
That is a great question. I was studying psychology at that point. I did a course reverse later on, but I was studying. But even at a young age, I can remember I was a little swimmer on the local swim team. And we went to a big swim event, and they had the little tables set up where you can buy like little souvenirs or T-shirts. And it wasn't even a book. It was a glued together pages, the glue. So I wouldn't even call it a book or a pamphlet even. But it was the psychology of the mind. And I think I was 8 or 9 years old, and I was like, Mom, I have to have this. And she's like, honey, you don't even know what half of that stuff in there means. And this was before the explosion of sports psychology. I don't think there was a book out there yet. And I was like, no, I want it. And it was funny. I found it the other day. I still have it. Of course, the pages have come unglued, and it's still above my head. But something about it resonated with me. There was something to the mind that could help me have success. And so even at an early age, I just remember wanting to learn more about my mind and how it could, help me overcome things. And then as I started, in college, there was more material available, and I just knew this was something. And then as a coach, then I started implementing it very informally, didn't really know what I was doing, but I would Google an article and share it with my team or try to apply things. So I think even at a young age, I knew that this was a key to success. It just took a while to formulate and get a game plan.
And it is really neat to see more and more people putting focus on this because, as you and I have talked, there's a lot of coaches out there, whether you're a business coach, athletic coach, or whatever, but there's not a lot that are focused on these things. And that's been one of the great things with the circle that Tami's networked me with is we can all talk the same things, and it's been amazing. One of the concepts that I really like, and if you don't mind talking about it a little more, is the P squared, the positive or productive. Do you want to just dive a little deeper into that?
Yeah, sure. So, studies have been done, and I'm not a scientist, and I don't do the studies, but I tell people I read the material, I trust the study, and I share it. So when they say that we have about 90% of the average person's thoughts are negative or unproductive. And so that's a lot of unproductivity out there that we're floating out there. So what could happen if everyone just changed 10%, just got 10% better at controlling your thoughts to changing that negative, I can't do this, to I can do this, or a productive thought that will help you do it. And so it's just rewiring that to every time you talk to yourself or to someone else, can it be positive or productive? Instead of the can'ts or no ways or, the negative stuff that we like to put ourselves down or put others down.
What about, one of the things that I don't think you and I have talked a lot about, but as you're just mentioning it, it really had me flashing back to some club ball games when we're talking to players about that are trying to get recruited and stuff. It doesn't matter how good you are, and it doesn't matter what you're saying, all those things. Your body language plays such an important part. And, a lot of athletes think they're doing everything right, and they don't realize their body language is destroying everything underneath them.
I mean, your body language sends a strong message to everyone that's watching you, but it sends a stronger message to your own brain. So you may not realize it, but if you look defeated, you're telling your brain you're defeated. Much less giving the confidence to your opponent because now they see you defeated, so that gives them extra confidence. But it's also telling your coach, hey, I'm ready, or no, I'm not ready. So that body language, it's not speaking, but it's sending louder messages than verbal. So the body language to me is such a big piece. And for coaches as well, how coaches' body language on the sideline really can positively or negatively affect the athlete as well. Now, when I'm working with the athlete, I want the athlete to own it and not be dependent on the coach. But the coach and parent can go a long way in helping that as well.
So I guess like for me, it's like, there's obvious body language if somebody's slumped over or whatever. But do you teach coaches and to read body language too, or is it just more about their own body language? Because I don't think everybody is, or is it all just kind of subconscious? You can look at somebody and look at their body language and have a feel for it.
I think a lot of us are on a subconscious level, but if I am working with a team, we do talk about it. And I've brought that from my coaching and I don't know if this was right or wrong because there was some punishment involved. But if I saw negative body language in a practice, you immediately had to do what we called a ladder. And it was just because I wanted in practice, we were going to have strong body language because I knew it would carry through, into competition. And I would come up with challenges just to watch their body language. But it was such a it worked well, it conditioned them well. So when I do work with coaches, I do make them aware at a conscious level of their own body language and their players. And I now try to, don't get on them, teach them a better way instead of using it as punishment. And the technology has really helped with basketball. Huddle and the other companies out there, you can watch the videos immediately. And it's such a great tool because I think Jeff mentioned it. Sometimes we don't know or we're not aware. We think everything's going well. And I've had so many athletes tell me that. And then we sit down and watch 5-minute clip and they're like, oh yeah, okay. So I think we have to show them and teach them, and then that can help it. And hopefully it becomes subconsciously positive.
Yeah, I love that. I'm just trying, you talk about things and I reflect on my own coaching and stuff. And my first thought was, when I throw my clipboard, was that body language?
Shoot.
Oh, well, it's, and I'm not going to get on you for the clipboard throwing. I've done worse myself in past years. But, there's so many times I see a coach like telling somebody they can do it, but their body language sends the exact opposite message. And so it's really the athletes getting conflicting messages and they're not as confident or secure or, even a body language and the way a coach communicates a play to run. Let's say it's the last second play that you're drawing up. If you sound like you know what you're talking about and your body language looks like it, I don't care if it's the worst play in the world. It's going to have a better chance of success than if it's the best play in the world, but you're not confident in explaining it and you don't look as confident about it. So,
right.
So to me, your confidence can trump lack of skills sometimes.
Well, it's amazing how much all of this has changed since I was playing basketball in college many, many moons ago. But like, because I remember, we talked briefly before this, and I said like we didn't even get physical trainers until I was like a junior in college. But I do remember somebody coming in and talking to us about visualization and about visualizing that, like especially shooting free throws, just visualizing it going in. That was the one thing that they did work with us on a little bit. But we didn't have like the game tapes and stuff to go back and look at, Right. So is that a big part of what you train people on too? Is the visualization part of it?
Yes, definitely. And that was the third step in the confident athlete. Not only visualizing the confident you that you want to be, but visualizing your skills. Visualizing, part of your mental warm up before you play. Seeing the game, seeing yourself get shots in your offense, seeing yourself doing the little skills that your position may require, seeing yourself be the best teammate on the bench, even that, and seeing yourself ready when and if you get to go in and play. And then I challenge people to visualize bad things happening. Visualize someone fouling out and how you're going to overcome that. Visualize being down by 10. And people will challenge me, well, that's against your P squared. That's not positive or productive, but it is, because bad things are going to happen in a game. And the more we run through our brains and get those reps in of how we're going to respond to them, and it's just like getting the physical reps. So it happens, then we're used to it. Growing up, I guess I visualized, I didn't know what it was called, but I would visualize every night, hitting the game winner. Because to me, that was just fun to do in the head, and it helped me fall asleep in a good mood. But it was amazing how many opportunities I had to hit the game winner. I didn't hit them all, but I hit a large share of them. But I was so calm when I got there because I had seen it every single night. And it just helped plant those seeds and give me that confidence. So that's definitely stuff I share with athletes, and asking them to spend 5 minutes a day of visualizing, before, again, your mental warm up before you play, using that time to visualize.
So I think it's a good point with what you're talking about now, to talk about something that you were actually on my other podcast, Daily Success Strategies, on this subject this week. And last week, because I had a conversation with my own basketball team on this concept yesterday. But, talking about hitting game winners, and talk about your concept of win.
Win. We all like to win. So I think it's a great acronym, but what's important now? And when we can win, if we miss a shot, we can win by changing our focus to what's important now. Not hanging your head that you missed that shot, but what's important now? What's important now is go get the rebound or get back on defense. Or think about how you're going to change. I'm going to follow through next time. But too often, negativity, lack of confidence, frustration, all of those negative emotions come because we're not in the present moment. We're still hanging on to an event that happened, even if it just happened, or we're looking ahead to the future and creating anxiety about what could happen. So when we can stay in the moment, that's when we have the best chance for success and owning our confidence. And so WIN is an acronym that I use a lot. Just when I catch myself not being in the present moment, all right, WIN. What's important now? If I take care of now, then the future has a better chance of being taken care of.
That's a great one. I like that.
I can't take credit. Yeah. I wish I could give credit to whoever came up with that, but it's something I grabbed and held on to a long time ago. But
I was listening
it's great.
To an interview. I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about having, it's good as an athlete to have a bad short-term memory.
Yeah.
Just because because it's like, okay, if that happened, it's gone. I can't do anything about that. Move forward, right? Or be here.
How much happier or more successful we would be if we could do that?
Yeah.
I think you need to learn the lesson, then move on. But still, that's learn the lesson, move on. What's important now?
But you see it in a lot of, it doesn't matter if it's athletes or business, something goes wrong and they dwell on it so much that they're not taking care of what they need to be taken care of right now. And as I don't know if you just said it, but you said it to me before, is you can't have two thoughts at once. So if you're focused on what's important now, you can learn from that experience, but you can move on and focus on what needs to be done now. So I really love that concept.
And it's what all great athletes. Go ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, even though we don't know who you can credit for that, I credit you because you're the one I heard it from.
Well, that's the trait of every successful athlete, or in any profession. It's not the people that never had challenges. We need challenges and obstacles and adversity to see how good we are. So it's the athlete that can keep themselves mentally alive for the next play, for the next game, for the next season, even, that are your most successful ones. I know Jeff and I share this in common, but huge Jordan fans. But, his mindset was if he missed a shot, there was no way that the next shot wasn't going in. And so that was what he turned his mind to, that the odds were the next one had to go in. But so often we focus on, oh no, I missed that shot. And we get a little bit tighter in our arms and a little bit shorter. And then that second shot, it's like the basket just got a little bit shorter. And every time we miss, it gets a little bit shorter. But that's our mind creating that. So if we can, what's important now, moving on to the next play, next shot, and that helps us be a lot more successful.
Yeah. Also, another concept that I love of yours, 5-1. Do you want to share that with us as well?
So, along this whole idea, what you focus on grows. And so I am a big believer in that we need to spend a lot more time focusing on what we did right. That doesn't mean we ignore what we did wrong. But if we can take a ratio of 5-1, so after every practice, after every game, I challenge the athletes I work with, list 5 specific things you did well. I don't care if you won by 10. I don't care if you lost by 20. You can find 5 specific things you did well. And then one thing you want to work on to improve on by next practice, next game. And so that ratio studies have been shown that show that's a positive ratio for relationships, for teams, for individual success. Because again, what you focus on grows. And I think sometimes we think we need to analyze every single thing we did wrong, but the energy it takes to do that, now you've really depleted your confidence and now you're starting back at 0 again. So I would rather take what we're doing, let's keep building on that, now add one more thing to it. So, 5-1 ratio is what I like to challenge. Coaches, it's hard sometimes 5-1 positive comments to an athlete, but I think 3-1 works well too. We're going to get on them. We need to get on them as coaches. But at the same time, are you making sure you're telling them and giving them feedback on what they are doing right and what you do want? And I'm going off on it. Yeah, go ahead.
Are you currently coaching a team, or are you just coaching coaches and coaching their teams, or do you actually have a team that you're coaching right now?
No, when I say coaching, I'm coaching the team and/or the coach. Okay. So like there's a basketball team I'll work with tonight. And so I'll stay at some of their practice and talk. We'll have a little session, then I'll watch some of the practice and jump in and talk. But one of my biggest things to the coach, tell them what you do want, not what you don't want. So, hey guys, don't do this on your zone defense. No. Tell them what you do want. Because I think that goes a long way. And I got off the 5-1s there, but that goes along with it. The more we focus on what we do want, the more likely we're going to get that.
Was it you that talked to me about using the word if?
No, that was Beer Joe.
Beer Joe? Okay. Yeah. Okay. That one actually.
That was good.
That was good. And I mean, now I've said it, we've got to share that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm like,
go for it, Jeff.
Please.
Do you want to talk about it, Tami? And we stole this one from Vera Joe, but we'll say it was yours.
No, we're going to give Vera Joe credit for it.
Okay. For example, in basketball, we're at practice yesterday and, I'm giving them an assignment. And if you don't do this, we're going to run killers. We're going to run sprints. Changing it from if to when you don't do this, just changing the words is just like what Tami was saying is changing from what you don't want to what you do want is a big shift. And when mindset plays such a big part in basketball, football, any sport, business, whatever, just those small little shifts can really make a big difference. And just another concept that I really love.
So if you say when you do this versus if you do this, it's sounding more like they're going to do that, even if it's a negative thing. I'm a little confused by that. Like,
do you want to help me out, Tami, and add your thoughts?
I would say, yeah. How about when you do this properly, we won't have to run sprints.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Instead of if you do it, the way Vera Jo phrased it, it's like that if was threatening.
Oh.
Yes.
But Heidi, what you just said was more on handling it. Yeah.
Right.
But again, more of creating that picture of what you do want them to do, and not if you do this, then boom, 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 boom. Or
I frame it as it's a reward that they're going to run.
Yeah. I like to with running. Hey, what is good about running? And getting them to see, hey, we need it. If we didn't run, we wouldn't be in shape. And trying to, just challenging with, okay, what's good about this?
Right.
Again, going off on different tangents here. I'm sorry, I keep.
No, that's okay.
That's great. That's what we love.
That's what we do.
Talking about.
Go ahead.
Talking about shifts, another big shift is adding the word yet. So we've never beaten this team. Yet. Or I haven't hit a game. I haven't hit a shot in this game yet. And so catching yourself when you start to make those generalizations, because your brain's going to hold on to, oh, we can't beat this team. No, we haven't beaten them yet. So that's another quick shift that came to mind when we were talking.
Right. Before we get to our end of our time, I also want you to just talk about this is good. Okay. If you want to discuss about that as well.
Yeah, this is good has been a motto of mine. Oh gosh, I don't know. I think 10 years now, maybe even longer than that. But it was an African folk tale that I read. And the whole gist is that nothing is good or bad till we decide it is. In the African folk tale, the king loses a thumb, but it's good because it ended up saving his life. His best friend is thrown in jail. And I can give you a link to the story if you want, but the best friend's thrown in jail, but it saves him in the long run because he'd been in a worse situation. So I tell teams that's a little dramatic from what they hopefully have to deal with every day. But then we take it to what is good about an injury and getting them to start focusing, because too many times when an athlete's injured, we focus on the negative and we throw a pity party. Poor me, I can't play my sport, or the team thinks, oh, we're not going to be as good because Jeff is out. Instead, what is good about this? And having them come up with everything that's positive. What is good about a loss? Now, that's a little bit harder for me to find, because I am very competitive and don't like to lose. But there are some positive things about losing. And if we can find those, it helps us keep our mind moving to building and learning. What did we do well that we want to take forward, and what are we going to now work on? And so we're more prepared for the next game. But very rarely do you see that championship team that doesn't look back to a loss that really woke them up or helped them realize something they needed to fix. So the whole idea, you can use it in anything that happens. What is good about conditioning, just like I mentioned a while ago. And if we change our mind to what is good about an event that looks challenging or threatening, then it's amazing how much easier we can overcome it and deal with it. And it's really just shifting and looking at adversity as our best friend, as we need it. And just keeping our minds mentally alive long enough to find, might be a different option, but in the long run, it's probably going to be a better option if we stay alive mentally. So this is good. That's one of my favorite sayings. And if you're around me long enough, you would probably roll your eyes because you'd get tired of hearing me say it.
It's all good.
So share with us, Tami, everywhere our listeners can find you on social media, your website, and tell us about the books, the journal, everything, just so everyone can find everything, because you've got some incredible stuff.
On Twitter, I have 2 accounts. One of them is at Tami Matheny, TamiMatheny. And that one was built around the confident athlete. So it's mainly just any tips, comments about confidence, or examples about confident athletes. Then I have another Twitter account at R2L Coaching, stands for Refuse to Lose Coaching. And that one you'll find everything about adversity, leadership, teamwork. And then Instagram is Refuse to Lose Coaching, spelled out. My website is r2lc.com.
Now, is that the numeral 2 or the word 2?
The numeral 2.
The numeral 2.
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure.
R2LC.
Okay.
All the books are available on Amazon. The Confident Athlete, the Confidence Journal, which the Confidence Journal was created from, I do a monthly confidence calendar. Jeff, I think have you seen that yet?
Yes.
I need to get you a copy. Okay. And it's just every day giving you one thing to focus on to build and maintain your confidence, to help people realize confidence is like a physical skill. If we work at it daily, we're going to get better at it. And so it gives everybody one thing to focus on. But the journal was taken from the calendar and pulling some of my favorite or more well-received ideas and putting it at the top. You can kind of use that as your confidence journal on your plan, or just use it as a journal with a nice little quote or challenge before. And then This Is Good. And This Is Good starts with the whole African folktale that I just referenced. And it shares my journey. It's actually a true story. It shares my journey of sharing that with the team and how they really grabbed a hold of the concept. And they were hit with more adversity than I've ever seen a team hit with. And how they just stayed alive mentally with This Is Good, and they're buying into that story and that concept. And how the season didn't go quite like they had planned or imagined, but it was so much more rewarding and fulfilling because they stayed mentally alive and stayed connected with each other. So I share a lot of our exercises and principles that we all use to help us keep moving forward on our journey. So those are the books, and they're all available on Amazon. So This Is Good.
Excellent.
Very good.
And in the show notes, I will have all the links to her sites and books and everything. So I'll make sure that everyone can get those easily.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much. I love every time we talk and the things you share. And I know these are things that our listeners can gain a lot out of, whether they're coaches, athletes, or entrepreneurs of any sort. So thank you for sharing that with us, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Tami.
Thank you, Heidi.